Great. Yeah, our podcast name is a work in progress. So
It'll forever be a work in progress. It's okay.
yeah, we'll change it like every week. So
That won't.
just so we confuse people. We don't want people to actually know, what's going on.
We don't want an audience.
Yeah. We only want the audience that is already following.
Oh God.
Well, it builds excitement and anticipation. It's like, will they, won't they? It's tune in to the potential drama and excitement of this week's episode on the casting of pods. Currently, what are we talking, Esoteric? And welcome everyone. I'm AK Lady. We've got
I'm
my two partners. My two partners
Hello.
in the wow. Wrong kind of anticipation there, bud.
But yes, we're here.
And who else is here with us? Besides myself, Adfang, who else do we have? Please identify yourself.
Craig is here and no one else. There's literally no one. We're just going to be talking to ourselves. And I hope you're happy.
No, and I'm because not here.
No, I'm waiting for Luna. She said it so quietly.
Oh,
yes.
We said it at the same time. You're not as important as us. You were a second, like a tertiary member. We founded this. So, you're welcome.
That's cool. I'll just where's that button to turn off the screen? Let me just turn that off and close OBS. I'll head out. Yeah, no, I'm Luna. We're here. It's Tuesday. Tired.
Time is subjective.
Yes.
It's only Tuesday, It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday. It feels like it's 7 a.m. I don't want to be conscious, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate because you are in fact here and you are responsible for the Twitch stream for our grand total of 0 viewers other than myself.
Yeah. Sounds about right. But yeah, let's get into it. What are we talking about? What is our plan?
Well, my suggestion.
We talked about it. Well, AK Lady and I talked about it, and we decided to let you choose.
Oh God. Okay, I mean,
or we could continue on the talking about dreams because it seems like it's really people are talking about how their dreams have been a lot more vivid or prevalent lately. And how different dreams seem to be for a lot of people. We could talk about that, or we could, just shoot the BS and find some random topic if Adfang would break out his psi wheel of randomness once again.
Yeah, I mean, I could. I have it broken down right now, and you're going to have to wait about 10 or 15 minutes for me to spin the psi wheel. So
we can go either way. I just wanted to share that my work sent out an automated end of year email just now that was like, "Are you okay? Are you in fact mentally ill?" No joke.
Wow.
So I that's great. Thanks, work. Capitalism is awful, but it's fine. Whatever. I'm over it.
When do you get your pizza party? like, to help with company morale, because it's not like we need money to survive, right?
Well, I'm remote, so we don't get pizza parties.
They have your address. They know when you work. They could just DoorDash you a pizza.
Right? I mean,
That
Little
Let's
Caesars. I mean, come on.
Yeah, let's normalize employers sending us stuff to make us feel better or increasing our pay. I'll take either one.
yeah, like weirdly enough, my morale would be increased if someone was just like, "Hey, you're gonna receive a pizza in about 45 minutes." Like if my boss messaged me that, I would be like, "Oh, lovely. I'm down for that." But yeah, no, they don't do that, or at least they don't do that right now. My previous boss was like, "We have some kind of team budget," and that's the end of the conversation. She never brought it up again, and we never did anything.
Yeah, she probably used that team budget on team building with herself.
I mean, that's fair.
Because there's definitely an I in team. Okay, listen, we are not here to bash on capitalism, even though it is negatively impacting everyone's lives. That is a different podcast. We are,
Yeah.
again, apolitical here. We don't do that, but whenever we do talk about the horrible state that capitalism is in. Anyways, so yeah, we had AK Lady and I discussed about talking about dreams. I think that would be a good continuation from the previous podcast, and then just kind of ramble on from there because there's literally no one to control us, so we can do whatever we want.
I think that's fine. I've definitely had dreams since we last talked about it. Hashtag I'm fine. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah, just don't say that you had a dream today. Bad things happen when people say that.
I did not have a dream last night. I, in fact, did not dream, or I don't remember dreaming.
I have glimpses of a dream from last night. Whenever I get so I use a CPAP, and whenever I use, actually it's a very common thing that people who use CPAPs don't dream, because you get such good sleep that your body doesn't wake up or your brain doesn't wake up because it's not struggling to breathe. So it's kind of disappointing because I struggle to dream now, and it's purely a medical reason. I've tried vitamin B6. I think AK Lady suggested mugwort tea. And of course, I was not going to go out to a store and buy that yesterday. So, but I will try it eventually, I think. I just need to make sure there's no medication interactions. Remember, kids, before taking any supplements of any kind, talk to your doctor and make sure you have no medication interactions. Not hashtag not medical advice. But I had an interesting dream a few days ago, and I can share that in a little bit if anyone else wants to take the floor.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that might have been part of why I did not sleep last night. Is I did get real, or I didn't dream, is I got really good sleep last night. And yeah, I mean, I take um a special legal medication, and I mix it with actually mugwort. So that I would say is definitely an effective use of mugwort for sure. Is to get some good sleep and to also dream.
Excellent. Um, so hello, Akka. Thanks for joining us today. I know that Ad Fang said he'll share his dream shortly. Uh, I am a little curious. Have have you guys noticed that your dreams are different than they normally are? Um, is the tone or theme different? Have you noticed any changes? I myself am a fairly active and quite vivid dreamer. Um, for me, it seems to be really ramped up as of late. Last night was a very short night, but it was very active. But a lot of it was just random. Um, I would call random dreams, kind of looping in, you know, things that I experienced in the previous week. So not like dreams that I would say had more meaning or anything like that. So, oh, even Akka says she also had uh, crazy dreams. So, yeah, I'm just curious if this feels like it's something new or different or expanded, or are we kind of staying in the same theme?
Well, I think I had already discussed some of my dream with you, and I think there's a reason why I had my dream. We are on the rune journey. Totally not a sponsor, because we have to throw that in there. But I think the rune journey kind of had something to do with my dream. Um, when I do dream, which is rare now, they they feel like they have a lot more meaning than whenever I didn't dream, and that could just be because I have less of them. So, and I look for more meaning in them. I mean, personally, I'm not a big person who believes in like dream interpretation, but whenever things stick out and they kind of are like, yeah, this is definitely related to what's happening in my life now, then yeah, I'll definitely go down that rabbit hole. So
Yeah, and I feel like I would agree that definitely recently, uh, a lot of the dreaming that I've had has seemed very vivid, and at least in the last couple times I've remembered my dreams very purposeful in their existence. So it is something to, I guess, try and dissect.
Awesome. Akka, is there anything you would like to share since you're here joining us in the audience?
Aka says, I've been having dreams of revelatory nature, TBH. Feels less like a dream and more like just moving across different possibilities. Interesting.
Very nice.
I've had similar dreams in that um having dreams of different possibilities, like an event happening, but it's like a different thing that happened and then going on from there. Um, I don't have a lot of dreams of nature, really. At least I don't think I do. Um, most of mine are usually pretty involved with people talking or with doing things. Um, there's not a lot of just like general nature. Interesting. Yeah, Aka said less of a universe, more of time branching out. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I would say like a lot of potentiality for different options that one may have, or stepping more into different roles, perhaps, or I hate to use the word calling, but for lack of a better term, I'll say that. I think that that might be going on a little bit more than realized, and I think to get there, sometimes we have to go through the kind of hidden meanings and kind of sit and process a little bit.
Yeah, um, that's understandable for sure. Um, I think recently, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I think most of the dreams that I've been having, or at least can remember having, at least during the dream, feels very present based. Um, and I also, at least to my knowledge, I can't remember having a dream that's kind of like branching possibilities. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, but also quite exciting. Akka, would you care to elaborate a little further, or do you feel comfortable sharing? I know that Adfang alluded to dreams, or maybe a little more detail, if you feel comfortable. If not, that's okay too. And the reason this whole topic kind of came up is because last week, amidst our introduction of Luna to the podcast, she alluded to some interesting dream that she had had last week. So we kind of got on topic, this particular topic. So it was interesting. We thought we would continue, as the three of us have had interesting dream experiences in the past week. So, since last week, Luna, have you had any other interesting dream experiences? Adfang is, we're still waiting to hear Adfang share his.
I mean, if there's nothing else to talk about, if no one else wants to go, I can share mine. But I just kind of wanted to wait it out to see if anyone else wanted to talk, because once I get started talking, you're probably not going to get a word in edgewise for a while.
I mean, that's fine.
That's what that's what we appreciate about you, Adfang.
I feel a backhanded compliment, and I know it's meant with love.
It is. It's always met with love.
I'll wait for Akka to finish typing what they're typing, and then I'll share.
Yeah, just to answer your question, yes, I've had dreams, but nothing too exciting. You know about the dreams I've had. We've discussed them in a more private setting.
Yes. Yes, we have. And I think that's part of it too, like having someone that you can talk with and bounce, ideas off, because sometimes when dreams are so very vivid, they have a tendency to kind of hang on, and we sit there and we're like, what the hell, And so that processing sometimes is really helpful to have um, another person that's kind of removed from it, that can help us kind of sort and filter everything. Okay, so Aka said she feels comfortable sharing. And she said, I was walking through the institute I am in right now, through the stairs, and talking to some professors, but not a normal day. The sky was lit up with cosmic activity: blue, gold, purple, moving in and out. Others weren't noticing it, but the intensity of the movements were also using them as puppets. I was moving along the energy. It was like a dance, but I kept looking outside when I felt the interactions were not real or just, quotes, made up. I kept feeling like things were moving, but no one was talking about the whole cosmic activity. And so she was talking to another group member, spiritual splash. Spiritual splash. She was talking about this with her this morning, and she shared a visual representation, which is fantastic.
That's a very interesting dream. Thank you for
That
sharing
is,
that.
Yes, thank you.
yes. Is that, may I ask, is that Krishna? Is that Lord Krishna? I see a flute and a peacock feather. So I was, as I'm looking at the image. Ah, okay. Very interesting. It is crazy. Um, Good. I'm glad things have been decent following. Uh, I wonder if perhaps it has to do with like heightened awareness, or, observations, and what people may or may not think is important or valued, worth their attention, whereas like sometimes we have experiences that are just like screaming out at us. So there's a lot to unpack in there, but that's absolutely wonderful um, artwork. Thank you for sharing all of it. Excellent. So Akka says the dream to her felt like a pressing affirmation that there's more beneath what her physical body can perceive. That's absolutely beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I guess I will share my dream now. And it's not it it may not be that interesting, but I thought it was pretty interesting and related to what is going on now. I shared more with AK Lady, and I shared a little bit with Luna, but this dream followed a sort of rune empowerment ritual that AK Lady and I did together, which I thought was interesting. So I the dream started. I was in what I perceived as like a mall or some type of place with a lot of different shops, and the place seemed quite chaotic. There were lots of other people there, going around, buying things, grabbing things, and such. And I, whenever I was there, I felt like I was looking for something, but I couldn't find what I was looking for, or whatever it was that I was there for. Just I wasn't able to get. I think it was missing. At I did notice that it seemed like there were individuals that were pretty much shoplifting, taking items and then leaving. And I met this the shopkeeper, who seemed not really upset about the things that were happening. They seemed pretty relaxed, and the phrase that they or the way they described it to me was that they had more than enough they didn't have to worry about the things that people were taking, and that they felt that the people who were taking those things more than likely needed them, and that they just had no reason to try and pursue the quote unquote shoplifters. I'm inclined to believe it wasn't physical items all the time. I feel like it was more like an exchange. And this person or the shopkeeper or whoever, whatever you want to call them, they gave off a slightly, I'm gonna say they were kind of agender, but they did feel like whenever they did speak, it felt kind of fatherly, but with a very feminine touch. So that's why I say kind of agender, kind of neutral. They did notice that whatever I was looking for, and again, I don't know what I was looking for. I couldn't find, but they did offer for me to go into the storerooms just to uh, help put stock out, or just to go look around, because it was kind of like a forbidden area, and people weren't allowed back there. So I was like, sure, why not? So I walked to this door that kind of just opened. There wasn't like no like place to push the door, no handles. It just kind of opened. And whenever I walked back there, it was like a storeroom just full of big cardboard boxes and big wooden boxes, reinforced boxes, with all kinds of different labels that had stuff written on them, and I couldn't understand the text on them. But they definitely had like a from whatever place to here. I did notice a person who somehow wandered back into this room, and once I kind of looked at them, they saw me and just were spooked because someone saw them, and they kind of scattered. But yeah, I was only back there for a little bit because it was kind of overwhelming seeing everything that was there. And after that, I kind of just walked back out because I didn't know how to help. And yeah, the conversation, I was not. It was more of, I'm going to say, telepathic conversation. It wasn't a literal like speaking to one another. And they felt like a very gentle person. Um, they were definitely very much like, um, I'm trying to help you and help people, and I don't want to hurt anyone. And yeah, it was a very interesting dream. I I had woken up and I didn't initially remember it until it was maybe an hour or two later until I heard something, and then like it just clicked, like I just remembered right after that about this dream, and then it just kind of sprung back into my memory. So I thought it was interesting, mainly because the rune that we're on, Jira, represents a harvest, and the thought that came to mind was that this person had such a bountiful harvest that they didn't care if people, took from what they had, because it didn't matter to them ultimately. What mattered was that other people who needed it could have it. And also that after AK Lady and I spoke about it, it was more also about the exchange that was happening. So they were taking something, but even though they were taking, there is an exchange between this person and the other that was happening, and that's kind of the payment or currency that they were using instead of maybe paying with either money or something. So I never saw money in the dream, so it did feel much more on that woo side, or on the side of things where the exchange of things were non-physical in nature. It felt like so. Um, and I don't really remember speaking to anyone else. The closest to speaking to anyone else besides the shopkeeper was seeing the individual somewhere they didn't belong, and then the eye contact we made, and then them scurrying away. So yeah, it was an interesting dream. I'm really glad I had it. I think it helps me. It helped with some deeper understanding of Jira, and I think it was kind of just like it kind of naturally followed the experience that AK Lady and I had with the ritual that we did together. I don't think I'm missing anything that I spoke about, unless I wrote it down and then forgotten.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Edfang, because I know like a lot of times when we dream or we have experiences um, within a dreamscape or that we have vivid recollection of, um, they feel a little more personal, and sometimes we have that instinct to kind of insulate and protect, because it does feel very uh, different than normal dreaming or how we perceive normal dreaming. Um, as Adfang alluded to, we we talked um, and shared after we did our rune ritual. And just to clarify, and I'll probably I should ask Adfang to jump in here. It's not a plug. It's just something that we feel is beneficial. It's something that we do within the server. Um, we do have an event that goes mostly through the year that's called the Rune Journey, and it is um, a group or collective experience where we work through each individual uh, rune together, and we block it through the is it Otts Advang? You want to
The AETS, AETTS, yeah. I mean, it's a series of 8. So that's one AET. I can't pronounce it either. I'll type it in chat. So there are 3 AETs.
It's yeah.
So, and they kind of, for me, they kind of symbolize the journey of going through life. So each is kind of like, each rune I feel like is a season of life, and they kind of come together to form like a broader season. So you kind of go through like a rebirth period near the end, and I found that the hardest one that I went through. So this is my 3rd time going through this. The first one was the hardest, and I ended up staying on Wunjo for maybe 3 months or so because I had some medical stuff going on. But I didn't want to progress, but I also felt obligated to continue working with it. And going off of Wunjo after that, being on it for so long was not a great transition. And every rune has its downside, so it's kind of, everything should be in balance, you know. So we in the rune journey, we stick to a rune for 2 to 3 weeks. So far we've been on 2 weeks this entire time. The previous rune journey, we only stuck on Wunjo for 1 week because it was very difficult for all of us. We were all having a hard time, and that's just how things go. So you never know until you get to that rune and experience it and work with it, channel it, do all the things that you want to do with it. I don't put a heavy focus on using the runes as a divination tool. I use them more in an energetic sense. So that may be different for people to understand, or it may not be how people normally use them. But again, I wouldn't say there's necessarily a normal way, quote unquote, to use any tool that we have. We use them to whatever we need them for. So yeah, we were on Jira now, as I mentioned, and we have, I think, another 24 weeks to go ish. I think we're smack dab in the middle of things. And at the end of this, we'll have a rest period, and then people who either want to do it again can sign up. I'm not sure if I'm going to go through it again. I kind of want to spend some time, and I'm totally tangentializing. So, and I realize that. Personally, after going through this again, I feel like I want to take a few runes that I really connected with throughout the journey and spend some time specifically on those, to kind of gain a deeper understanding of them, and then maybe do it again. But we will have it regardless. AK Lady or I will be here, kind of facilitating that experience for people, allowing them to have the experience just like we did, and hopefully giving nuggets of wisdom and knowledge where it's warranted or not warranted, or whenever we feel like it. So yeah, it's great. I think the Rune Journey has been life changing in a lot of ways. It has made me rethink my foundational knowledge of energy work and metaphysics in general. So yeah, I always recommend trying it, and I recommend, if you start it, to go through to completion for previously aforementioned reasons. So, and it sometimes it will be tough, but that is whenever we buckle down and get through it. And then I think the rewards at the end of it are great and beneficial. So
Yeah, and the funny thing is that how through each journey, through each experience, going through the entire Ruinic, I'll say alphabet, for lack of a better term, um, how certain rune energies resonate at with you at that time, and they may change and your experience, even though to me that's been the most interesting, right, is that we have an expectation because this is what it was this time, and that doesn't mean it's it's kind of like a Russian doll, is how I'm gonna explain it from my experience. So it's like there are so many layers that you may feel like you have a really good understanding of that particular energy. But the next time around, you may be experiencing or understanding it on a different, adjacent, or deeper level, which has been um, enlightening. You know, it's a very different experience, and I will say, um, follow up with what Adfang said. You know, to push yourself through, because once we get hung up um, on certain ones or bogged down in the journey and we don't progress forward, then we start to experience a lot of, I won't say negative, but they could be a little more intense or more harsh experiences when we don't progress. And you know, Adfang shared, you know, that happened to me when I kind of got hung up on one, because external life, you know, it happens. And then I have, you know, we have a mutual friend who, you know, got hung up, and it seems like they're still in that kind of pattern in the one that they haven't progressed from. So it's really interesting when you can stop and observe. Um, Not only your own journey, but in a group setting with other people, you can kind of observe patterns, which is really interesting.
yeah, this is not meant to be scary or anything. It's just meant to be sharing, you know, our experiences and what we have seen. So yeah, I do think that for instance, our mutual friend that kind of got stuck on the first rune, I think, Fehu, great rune for power, power pushing through things, but even with a lot of power, it's kind of not focused. At least that's how I understand Fehu. That's kind of how it feels to me. Of course, you know, your results may vary. But if we have just a lot of unfocused power or unfocused energy, and a lot of it, it's got to go somewhere. So if we don't direct it, then it may end up in places that it should not be. And that's the same way with any of the runes. So Wunjo being the rune of joy, eventually there's got to be a balance to this joy that you have, and you know, trying to stay inside this, you know, happiness or thing that helps things come together. Eventually you're going to have a opposite effect, and you know, you may have a long period of no joy, or things that just aren't great happen. So it's a lot, it's about balance, and that's why it's important to, if you do decide to start it, to go ahead and see it through to completion. So
Yeah,
again,
and I
anecdotal
don't think that it's Very.
Yeah, and just anecdotal results, I guess you could say, just from me through going through it my third time now, and AK, I think this is your second time, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and don't be afraid of trying it, because it is like anything in life. It very much, to me, feels like going through seasons of life. Like there are times of great joy, there are times when we struggle, and each rune, depending on how things in your life are going to act differently because they have different aspects to them. I think something that we discussed was if you could use, like let's just pick a random rune. Can this rune do this? Well, sure. Any of them can theoretically do anything. It's just whether or not that's the right tool for the job. Like, are you going to do a demo of your bathroom with a shovel? I mean, probably not. If you're tearing down walls, not the best tool. But if you have just a shovel, I mean, you can make do with what you have, or garden trowel. I mean, garden trowel might be better because you could get a little more force in there, but it just depends. So yeah, none of this is meant to put you off from doing it. Also, you don't have to do the rune journey to work with the Elder Futark runes. You can use them as is. There's nothing saying you can't. I found that after doing the rune journey the first time, I had a deeper understanding of all of them and how they kind of work together, so that my picking of the rune that I used for the situation came through a lot easier and more intuitively, rather than just trying to Google something. A lot of things that you Google for esoteric knowledge or whatever, it depends. It's kind of like 50-50 if you're going to get correct information or if you're going to get information that's trying to get a website to have ad revenue. So knowing where to look is also important. We have the book inside the Rune Journey. We're using it's by Edred Thorson. Gosh, already forgotten the name. Brain is not working. I'm running on low sleep. Edward Thorson, great guy to a great author of rune knowledge, probably the modern day expert on rune magic. So yeah, he has lots of good information that you can read and look at. The PDF is free, so you can find it online. Anyways, I'm again just rambling a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, it's Futhark
Yeah, Futhark,
by
potato, you know.
Edred Thorson. He is a scholar, by the way. Just uh, so this is um, practical or based on something a little further than just rehashing, like Adfang kind of said, a lot of times knowing where to look, or is it a lot of information that's regurgitated? Is it an understanding, and then does that understanding match with your understanding? um that's just me. That's another tangent. Indila has asked, does the rune journey trigger sensitivities or shadow effects? And then she states that she's kind of in a sensitive phase. So, I'm gonna say
Um,
I think that it can highlight or draw attention to certain aspects that may coincide. But I will let Adfang share um, his 2 cents.
yeah, I mean, so with anything in metaphysics, anything can trigger sensitive things. It's one of those things where I can't tell you if it's going or how it's going to affect you other than a broader overview of how it could affect you. So, can it? Yes, it could, but is that going to be a net positive or net negative or net neutral? That's kind of how that's kind of where some self discernment on your part before you start working with something you may need to look at. A suggestion for you, if you're not, I mean, we're not going to start another rune journey here, not until I think it's like about 26 weeks out, 28 weeks. But if you want to start it on your own, you definitely can. There's nothing saying that you can't. And we would definitely be supportive of anyone that does here in the server that wants to do it and has questions. But a suggestion I have for you, Indela, would be looking into Anzus. Anzus is probably my favorite rune. It is known as the Knowledge Rune, and you may want to look at it, maybe spend some time meditating on it and seeing kind of, having that question in mind and seeing what results you get before kind of exploring further. I think that's a pretty safe thing to do. I don't know if I think AK would agree. I'm not going to speak for her, but that's probably maybe where you want to start at to kind of get that feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Like I would encourage um anyone to start um the exploration. Uh and you said Ansus, which is a good place to start. Um and you don't have to go through the rune journey, like he said. If you feel called towards something, I always say pull the string. Um, and the more we sit, whether it's through active meditation or, researching and kind of immersing yourself in this is the runes, for example. That's what we're talking about now. But if it's ruins, if it's sacred geometry, whatever it may be that holds your interest. It could be mandalas, because we know certain mandalas hold energetic frequency, right? So sitting and holding space and allowing your understanding to expand as you sit in quietude with, you know, allowing it to kind of unveil itself to help deepen your understanding. So it's about empowering yourself to come to um, a more enriched uh, knowledge base that works for you. Still with us? You've been awfully quiet. I think we've absconded
I'm
with the
here.
podcast.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I know you're here.
I'm here.
Everybody is quite low energy today, I think.
Yeah, I think that might be what's up.
It's all good. Yeah, thank you for popping back in, Aka. Um, so I mean, yeah, they all can be linked together. I mean, I know we went off on a side quest here talking about the rune journey when we were talking about dreams, but that's kind of when we do work, ritual, meditation within the confines of metaphysics as a greater whole, we can have or expand our experiences in different ways, like we're all sharing. For us, it's been through dreams which enhance or further allow that deepening of understanding, because we're not in our active mind. We have, in our daily lives, we have so much going on around us that a lot of times when we relax, we allow our bodies to kind of disconnect from the world around us in that sleep cycle. So, it allows more information to filter in my opinion. I'm not a scientist. I don't have any type of degree like that. So, anyways, uh, on the same night when Advang was referring to his dream, I also had um, a dream that was laden with uh, definitely lots of symbolism that I felt very strongly connected to the ritual that we had done together, and it's always just really interesting, what we take our overall feelings, because I think that when we have very active and intense dreams, I think we generally have a feeling or an understanding, even if we can't vocalize exactly what it is. We hold that understanding of the theme or the uh, necessary emotion that goes with it to help deepen and broaden our understanding and experience. So that's it. I'm done. If you guys want to change the subject, go for it.
Sure. How's the weather there?
Um, Warmer than it was yesterday, but we now we have wind, so there's an excessive wind chill. So she's cold. She's freezing.
Yeah, it's
Weather's
it's
bipolar.
cold. It's cold here, and as is the case with Colorado, it's very dry. Like my knuckles look like I've recently been in a knife fight. But it's just the air is super dry.
Yeah. Yeah, the cracking and everything.
Yeah, I look like I tried to have a punching battle with a kitchen knife. It's not a great look.
Oh man.
And that what's worse is that like I need to moisturize my hands, but also it's do I moisturize them with the risk of then sitting there while my hands are stinging from the hand lotion, or do I just suffer having dry hands?
No, you definitely need to moisturize. I know, like, a lot of people like the what is it, the O'Keefe's working hands. Um, I always like something that's more beeswax based, because it absorbs it. For me, it seems to absorb more easily and more readily into the skin, and you can just kind of put it in those creases and cracks because we're very dry up here too. I was uh, griping the other day because we had, the snow is absolutely beautiful because the last, we're very dry. So therefore, our snow is very powdery and it's very sparkly. So there's a lot of, ice. They look like ice crystals. So it's just like, sparkly and pretty. And then when we hit like, it was like 28, it was ranging between 28 and 30 below. It was kind of the temperature was jumping up and down. Um, and I was like, it's like almost 30 below and it's snowing. And it's like, oh. And so it looked like somebody took a can of spray snow, like the flocking, and just all over everything. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so disgusting.
Hey, and yeah, like I said, you'll see that go away probably in what, 6 to 8 months, maybe.
Um, if we're lucky, mid-April, more than likely the end of April, the beginning part of May, because we still have snow well into May, generally. Depends on the year.
Any other suggestions for a metaphysical or esoteric topic we can discuss?
That thing, we're not. We're talking about our dry hands right now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Luna and her
that's a you problem.
I know you
it's
want to
I
like
didn't know
have an
this.
important
I
discussion
didn't
topic.
know that I thought this podcast was about talking esoteric and not talking about moisturizing creams.
but isn't don't we also frequently have tangents and go on side quests?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
want to hear it. Okay.
Adfing has done
Well, it
with
sucks
me.
to suck. Yeah, you're outnumbered, bud.
Okay, I see how it is.
Um,
Luna, I am so sorry about your hands. I understand.
it is. I genuinely am joking. Can you force Adfang back up? There we go. Okay, like
I can force myself back up. Thank you.
don't do that. You are part of
Oh,
this.
don't.
I don't care if you have. I have. Oh, okay. I have to assume based on your reaction to this, you have what I can only describe as moist, smooth guy hands.
Pretty much, yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. But that's great. Sounds great. Anyways, um,
No, I actually keep one hand in a glove full of lotion.
that yeah, that I
If
should
you
just
don't
do
get the
that.
reference,
No,
okay,
I
okay. I bet no one here has read the book. If you're watching this and wondering what I'm talking about, you need to read Of Mice and Men, and then you'll understand.
yeah, I don't I don't get that reference. I thought um I mean, that's not like a foreign reference though. Like it's in other books like Agatha Christie's books. Characters like moisturizing their hands and then putting on gloves and socks.
Well,
Honestly, I should just do
you,
that.
I don't think. Never mind. Never. I'm okay. Anyways,
Anywho,
Right.
nice. You read what? Nice, Aka.
that's funny.
But yes, I am joking. We can in fact change the subject to something else.
Yeah, what do you guys want to hear us randomly talk about? I'm still waiting. One of these days Craig is going to answer and I'm going to like fall over backwards.
It wouldn't. I mean, I could potentially set up a dummy account with that picture and then the beginning part of that name. See how long it takes you to realize that it's not Craig.
He's like our silent part.
He has more tenure than me.
Sadly, yes.
It tis fine. But yeah, the rune journey's definitely been something. I, I'm probably gonna have one of those experiences where I'm like, I don't know if I'm experiencing Jira, and then Adfang's going to later explain why I've been experiencing Jira and how. Because this is my first go around with the rune journey, and it's something. It I don't know if I'm gonna do it again right away after this one.
What has been your favorite so far, Luna?
My favorite rune,
Mm-hmm.
it's honestly difficult to say. I've had several positive experiences with runes. Um, like Fehu definitely was an interesting one. Urus was interesting. I think the one that kind of stands out the most right away, in my mind is Kienaz. I thought was pretty cool. Um, I think that one was pretty an interesting lesson, and also kind of made the most sense for me. But yeah, I can't say I've had a whole lot of bad experiences this go around. Um, I think I think what I'm experiencing right now is something I've experienced a couple different times, which is not 100% understanding like the lesson the rune is trying to teach.
Is it trying to teach a lesson, do you think?
Yes and no. I think a lot of the runes, at least that I've experienced, it seems like the lesson is in the circumstance that it puts you in. And like, while I can't necessarily say that there hasn't been like harvest related aspects of what's going on, also some of the things which we discussed make me wonder like, what is it trying to say that I'm harvesting, and like why is it appearing this way? So it is very much a trying to understand, I guess. Is it teaching me something? Is it giving me something? Is it reading me for filth? Like, what is it doing? Is kind of where my brain has been at least in the last 48 to 24 hours.
I mean, that's a very introspective question. Um, what do you feel like it is trying to do, or what do you feel like you are getting from it? And if you haven't read the chapter on Jira yet, maybe it will give you some insights as well.
Yeah, I have not read the chapter yet, despite the fact that we are literally going to channel it later today, because that it's the last day for us to do that.
Time permitting, of course, but
Time
yeah,
permitting, you're going to do it, or I'm going to haunt your sleep.
you can try, but I'm pretty sure if you tried that, I would be the one haunting your sleep.
Okay, all right. Anyway, I mean, to answer your
that that changed the topic real quick. I see.
to answer your question, um,
Point, set, match.
Like you got me there anyways.
uh, the yeah, whatever. The the vibe that I'm getting off of Shira, it's hard to say. Like it is kind of almost like a um and it is something I've been thinking about a lot, so I wonder if it's like affected as like it's almost like a karmic situation of like harvest season for me kind of is it is the sense of that phrase you reap what you sow. Um but also like the notion that I'm almost getting is simultaneously like yeah, you reap what you sow, but you also it is what you make of what you reap as well. Like it doesn't the process doesn't seem to just stop at receiving things. It seems to
Do you
also
want me
be
to
like
read
what
the
happens.
chapter? Do you want me to read the chapter from the book because it's pretty short?
I
Um,
mean,
I
yeah.
I, I did I did say harvest, but it also means year, or is interpreted as year, and it kind of makes sense too because, like, depending on the seed, like depending on the place, you may only have one big harvest a year. So, okay, so I'll read the short chapter. Okay.
I
Um,
think this is fine because at this point, runes is definitely going to be part of the title of this podcast, so
nah,
it has
nah.
become part of the subject. So yes, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So, Jira embodies the cyclical pattern of the universe expressed in the formula arising being slash becoming passing away to new rising. This is a basic pattern working throughout the rune row. The J rune is one of the two quote unquote sensual runes in the scheme of the Elder Futark, and it defines the cyclical nature of the ever becoming horizontal plane. It is the secret of the omnipresent circumference. This is the mystery of the 12-fold cycle of the yearly solar cycle. Radho is the daily path and guiding force of the sun. Jira, her yearly path, and Sololo, the archetypal sun herself. Jira is the reward for the honorable, right, and lawful (parentheses natural) past action. This has no real moral implications. It is a natural law. If the sowing is done correctly, according to tradition and luck (parentheses hamanja) is with you, then the reaping should be great. It is the fruition of efforts well spent toward a willed or instinctual goal. This is the true and valid. This is true and valid for the numinous as well as the phenomenological realms. The cosmic fertility aspect of this rune points to the Vanic god Freyr, who is involved Til Ars Oak Friedhar. I may mispronounce that, but it means for good season, harvest, and peace. The Old Norse name Ar provides us with, and that's Ar with a apostrophe over the A, provides us with the popular association of this rune with the eagle on Ari as a symbol of the swift flight of the archetypical sun.
Okay, that is very interesting. Okay, that kind of makes sense for a couple different things, which I'll have to reflect on. But I definitely think in that case, like what I've experienced recently kind of resonates with the idea of more of, I guess, almost the cycle of something coming back around, and possibly also this concept of death and rebirth. So yeah, okay. So there are some aspects I did not was not cognizant of, which I guess is part of what the rune journey is about, is learning about runes in a way that you didn't know.
Yep. And I guess a good understanding here too is understanding that it's not just, you know, from what we've been doing, during the ring journey, but technically it means the past year. But I am going to say that um, I would look at it from, sometimes we sow seeds late and still have a bountiful harvest. So sometimes there's that.
That makes sense. I'm sure it is something that we'll probably explore later as well. So that'll be interesting.
Yes. I do have to step away for a bit, but I will be here.
Okay. He's gone. Let's see here. Akka said, "What do you guys think is the working principle behind any kind of a choice-based divination system, like selecting out of a lot of randomly distributed objects like tarot, oracles, charms, etc.?" Um, yeah, well, I mean, my main divination tool has been tarot for the last forever. So I would say that it is a useful tool. I think that it is sort of an intentional base tool in the sense of something that I kind of grew up with learning it is the idea of um, okay, good, we got Achy Lady back up there. Uh, the idea of corrupting a reading. Essentially, the idea of if you like forcibly move a card or you forcibly try to push something in a particular direction so it falls a certain way. Um, I think a lot of those tools kind of rely on understanding how to, I guess, draw a reading without intentionally physically manipulating the subject matter in some fashion.
It's good advice, Luna. Yeah, I mean, it's for me. It's always so. Of course, sorry, I stepped out. Um, we read Akka's question, and it's a good question. I think for me, it's like removing yourself out of the divination process. Uh, once you allow yourself to be utilized as an aspect of whatever tool you are using. I know this is very abstract. That's the way my mind works. So, me. Um, make sure that you don't hold an attachment to the outcome or what is the purpose of the divination? What are you trying to achieve? There's a reason why, for millennia when divination tools were used, um, usually the person seeking the answers went to someone who was quite far removed, whether that was location wise, physically, whatever, because there is no external attachment to the outcome. And I think that's, forgive me, this is going to be a little bit of a tangent here. I think when people tend to, specifically using tarot or any type of divination tool, whether it's a pendulum, whatever, you already have an answer that you're seeking validation for. You want to hear a certain answer to your question. And that makes it really difficult not to skew your understanding or your perception of the reading that you're receiving. And so it's partly it's how we frame the question, the thought, the idea, the intention. And then there's an aspect of drawing the self back and removing the self so that you don't have that external attachment if it's where you're looking to seek internal validation or understanding. It will happen in ways if you step out of that already arrived to understanding that we want or that we need. So that's where it becomes about building your understanding with your tools and building and reinforcing your intuitive abilities, your understanding, and making sure that we are kind of moved out of our own way so that we are not influencing and we're not limiting at the same time. It's like, let just allow it to be, allow the information to flow and the understanding to be garnered. There is no positive, negative, right, or wrong to the understanding of the outcome if we don't hold attachment to that. So all of our external should be removed from the process. That's just me. That's how I view it. And then the second part to your question, Aka, why do these tools work on a more, quote, accurate manner rather than a random card being picked? I speak it from the way that I also have seen it be more accurate than it has been rather than random stuff. I think that has to do with, like, you have to forgive me. I have a lot of issues with the term accuracy because I feel that that's a way that people will use to discredit or limit the information that you share. So it's a real finicky term, finicky word verbiage that others may use to, again, discredit how you read. But again, that depends on the person receiving the information. If they already have a set outcome and idea of what they want to hear, what validation they're looking for, then if you are not giving them exactly what they want to hear, they can use that. Well, I got a reading from this person, but they weren't very accurate. So again, a lot of it has to do with outcome preconception and where we're limited. That the way it is more matching to what someone will experiences. No, not it's not your bad at all. A lot of times I find with tarot particularly, right? You're shuffling, you're doing your layout, or even before you've gotten your spread laid out. I don't know how common it is. I have a tendency to have, depending on who or what the reading is, a lot of times I'll have random cards pop out of the deck. for me, I take them and I set them aside and I actually use them as a clarifier, depending on my intuition. So sometimes it can be this is what you need to hear prior to going into the reading, or it can be utilized as something that clarifies the overall theme or meaning of the reading. Um, and tools can be the way I use tools, right? Again, I don't really do a lot of charm work or ogum or any of that. I haven't branched into those things yet, and I do have uh, runes, but I don't generally use them for that because I still have to get out of my own way to allow it to flow. Um, anyways, tools can work because they're helping us focus our intuition. That's just my opinion. So it depends on the individual. So you can have more accuracy. And it depends on how we work with anything. Um, thank you for joining us. I hope that you sleep well. I am going to ask Luna if Luna has anything else she wants to share or to piggyback on.
Yeah, I mean, I, I do think that tools and how you use them is kind of a personal aspect. Um, I used to do a lot of tarot reading. I still do, but not quite as often as I used to. Um, and I do think that tarot is unique in the fact that the cards usually have very specific meanings that are sort of uh, straightforward. There's also 70 plus of them. So I do think that every tool does also have its own sort of vibe of, what information can it actually provide to you, or how does it display that information? So I think that also plays into it as well. Um, Tarot is definitely one of the more, uh, I don't want to say grounded because it's not, but uh, typically, unless you read very interpretively, each card has a specific meaning, and that meaning is kind of like the baseline, and everything else sort of branches off of that. Uh, but yeah, every person's use of tools is unique to them in a way.
Thanks for the great question.
Yes, thank you for the question, and glad we could help.
Take care, Akka. We appreciate your time. Indila, is there anything, uh, any questions that you have? Other than your previous question, which I think we covered. It's always great to hear from you guys too. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Well, Luna, do you have anything else that you want to talk about? I know everybody's kind of dragging a little bit today. Do we want to continue on, or would we like to uh,
I
close this podcast for today?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think today's just one of those tired days. I don't have anything in particular I'd want to cover in the podcast, so I do think it'd be good to go ahead and close it out. Um, we also don't have Adfang here to narrate us through an extra hour, half hour of time, um, with his almost unending knowledge. So
Ex-
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But we could, if you felt like it, we could pop over to the after podcast party in one of the VC channels.
Yeah.
Totally up to you.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that'd be fine.
as always, um, it's appreciated, and I'm grateful for those that took the time to join us today. Uh, Aka and Indila, and of course, the ever trepidatious and supportive Craig.
Always there.
Always there. And don't forget to offer suggestions. Um, in the podcast channels, like if there's a topic you would like us to delve a little deeper into. I'm sure that Luna on her Twitch channel also has a way to drop suggestions for podcast topics, because we're open to kind of talking about pretty much anything, and we like to follow down rabbit holes that you think you have an interest in. So there's always that option as well.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I think that was good. I think we did it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream.